All right, 3C. It is vocab time, so you know the drill. Get out your notebook if you have not already and get ready to write down your vocab words and the definitions. We are on Unit 6, Week 2, and we have 7 words today. Okay, this first one, I'm looking at this word. What are some names this could be? Well, I either see bows or bows, so I wonder what our vocab word will be. Oops, here we go. So let's try it in the sentence to see what makes sense. The girl bows after her performance, or the girl bows after her performance? Bows would definitely make more sense to me, so we're going with bows. If you're ever reading and you're not sure, just figure out what makes sense and keep reading more sentences if you need to. So let's say that word together, bows. Bows is to bend the head or body in greeting, respect, worship, or obedience. Okay, writing down that vocab word and the definition. Remember, put me on pause or go back and rewatch if you need to. My example was, the girl bows after she sings. So it was another performance. She was singing and she takes a bow right at her waist. She's bending. Great. If we were going to act this out, you could pretend like you were bowing your head. So you either tip your head downwards or you could bow like you just performed and bend at the waist. Great. Number 2 is chilly. The woman wraps herself in a blanket when she feels chilly. Let's say that word together. Chilly. Chilly is cold or unpleasantly cool. My example was, it is chilly waiting for the bus. People, we live in Minnesota. It snows and the weather gets cold, so we are often chilly. We know all about that. So if we were going to act that out, maybe you wrap your arms around and give yourself a big hug and you pretend to shiver because it is so chilly. Number 3 is foolish. When the boy began to pull the shirt over his head, he looked foolish. Let's say that word together. Foolish. Foolish means without any sense, unwise. Okay, writing that down. My example was, it was foolish for Olaf, a snowman, to wish for summer. So why was that unwise? Well, what happens to snowmen when it gets warm and summery? They melt into a puddle. So that's unwise or foolish of him to wish for summer. Okay, if you're gonna act it out, maybe you throw your hands up in the air and you shake your head and you're like, what were you thinking? That was foolish, unwise. Good, moving on to the next one. Number 4 is foreign. The people hold flags of many countries. Let's say that word together. Foreign. Oh, I don't think it's supposed to be many. The people hold flags of many foreign countries. I should have added in there. So foreign. Foreign means outside your own country. I have ¿Cómo estás? So that means how are you doing? This one says estoy bien. I'm fine. So someone might be foreign if they speak another language. So if someone speaks another language, they might be from outside of our country. Could they just have learned it in America and learned a new language like Spanish or French or German or any other language you want? They could have, but they might be foreign if they speak another language. Act it out, maybe pretend to be waving a different flag, or this one we might even say hola. Or gracias to say thank you, something like that. Good, continuing on. Number 5 is narrow. The pasta is cut into narrow strips. Let's say that word together. Narrow. Narrow means not wide, having little width. So these are pretty skinny noodles is what I would say. They're narrow. My example, it is very narrow between these walls. Look how skinny, look how small of a space this is. It's so narrow you might have to squeeze through there. There is not a lot of space. It's thin. Okay, act it out. Maybe do pretend like you're squeezing between a really narrow spot. Whether it's like maybe two desks are together very close and it's really narrow. Okay. Number 6 is perches. The toucan perches on a branch. Let's say that word together. Perches. Perches is comes to rest on something, settle, or sits. So this toucan or birds, they rest on branches or birdhouses, usually little skinny objects. It's sitting there, it's settling there. What was my example? The cat perches near the window. See, it's resting on this. It's sitting there, it's perching. Okay, and if we were to have an example, maybe pretend to be a bird perching, or that is perching on a stick, or a cat that's perching near the wall. It perches. Just sitting there or settling there. Great. And our very last word is recipe. We should know what a recipe is. Let's see. This recipe is written on a card. So Susie Jones, and then we're making a baked pumpkin pie. Let's say that word together. Recipe. A recipe is a set of written directions that shows you how to make something to eat. So this is teaching us how to make baked pumpkin pie. This should look familiar to everyone. Recipe 4. Remember, you came in with a note card with your own recipe, and we wrote all of our ingredients and our directions. So you wrote your recipe on this page for the Ed auction. So you gave directions for how to bake something. Amazing. So example, act it out, maybe pretend to write your recipe down, or maybe pretending to read a recipe and baking it. These are all different things you could do if you want to play vocabulary charades. Amazing as always. Please remember to go back and rewatch or put me on pause to copy all this down. See everybody.